Just coming off low tide, 54 degrees at 8:30 in the morning on October 8th. It's windy, it's cold out there, guys. What are we going to do? Well, we're just going to run out the door like we always do. Make the best of it. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me. I'm going to not go too far, and I'm not going to zoom too far because I notice when I try and zoom that the audio changes. So we're on the backside of that hybrid storm, fourth week in a row where we had a storm on a Friday and a Saturday. And now we have serious cold air advection, the coldest front so far this season. And there go the fishermen out into the water. Boy, are the waves huge. Let's start with the waves. This is the Cinnamon Rainbows webcam. It's a streaming cam. You really got to go check it out. Scary looking surf. And at one point there around 8 o'clock, I saw one person trying to paddle out. And the waves were just so powerful, he turned around very quickly, he or she, I'm not sure. And so surf weather is extreme, and if he stays right inside the harbor here, watch, I'm going to zoom out. The audio is going to change. I don't know why that happens, but as long as he stays in the harbor, there are fish in the harbor. Once you get outside the harbor, though, the waves out there are about 10 feet and about a 15-second swell. They're powerful. Philippe brought them all the way across from the southern Atlantic Ocean. Anyhow, top of Mount Washington next. Surf. Ski. No, we're not skiing on Mount Washington. It's icing this morning. We've got freezing, drizzle, and fog, and the temperature is 29 and falling. It's going to be below freezing on Mount Washington now, probably till about Tuesday or maybe Wednesday. And there may be some snow, but the snow level is going to stay up pretty high on Mount Washington. It's only the very tops of the mountains. We have low barometer cold this week. That's when the cold is up in the sky, and that's very unstable. So our sky, which is so blue right now around Boston, will fill with clouds as the temperature aloft cools off and a little bit of moisture left over. The rain, pretty much a no-show here. Was not a bad day yesterday. We picked up, I'm not even going to go over to the rain gauge because it's so windy out, but we picked up less than 1/10 of an inch of rain at my house. I think Logan came in around 0.13 or so. And you got to go to the Champlain Valley. Burlington, Vermont picked up more than 2 inches. Plattsburgh on the other side of the lake picked up more than 3 inches. And in Maine, Bangor got more than 2 inches. So there was definitely a hole in between the merging of that system coming in from the west, from the Pacific, and our system coming in from the Atlantic that was Philippe, post-tropical storm Philippe. Now, if we look at it on a couple of ways of looking at it. Let's look at the surface map this morning. It's not like there's one low pressure center. There are several. Looks like 3. One there in Quebec, another one coming into Maine, and then another one south of Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia took the brunt of the wind last night. Baccaro Point, is that the name of it, in southwestern Nova Scotia, had sustained winds past 40 miles an hour with gusts past 50. I think there was one gust close to 60. So that was where the tropical storm force winds occurred. And I found one station where the rain has changed to snow this morning, there to the east of Lake Champlain, Lake Superior, pardon me. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, but it is snowing a little bit in Ontario. But I think the snowfall forecast you see coming out for Ontario and parts of Quebec are overdone. As I say, the cold is mostly up in the sky, and you really, we're not far enough into the season to get that kind of a low-pressure system to cause snow at lower elevations to accumulate, really. So it's going to be just a fascinating day watching the clouds grow, a good day for time-lapse. What the weather is going to do here is going to be windy from the west. These lows are powerful, and they're getting a little bit stronger. There are 3 lows there are going to turn into 1 low, and it's going to retrograde into Ontario. Before I show you that, though, I want to show you the Atlantic Ocean satellite imagery. There's the track of Philippe into southeastern Canada, and there's a storm just stalled out there. I think that may have DNA of Ophelia from last week because there's a major block in the atmosphere. And if we go to the Ocean Prediction Center charts, you can see those lows, and look at the red arrows. That low out there that may be remnant of Ophelia there in the central Atlantic, it's moving towards the southwest. And then that new gale forming south of where Philippe would have gone on near Nova Scotia, that's moving towards the northeast. So we do have a contorted jet stream, and that shows I haven't looked at this in a while, the North Atlantic Oscillation is a strong negative right now, that red line down there below the black line. And that means Greenland blocking in full force. So in that blocking pattern, I think I should transition now to the 500 millibar chart. So our upper level low is cutting off. It becomes a big blender in the sky, and we have the air all mixed up coming at us from the west here. But in to the north of that low in central and northern Canada, the air is coming from the east. So you have Atlantic air going up into north central Canada and then moving west into Alberta, Canada. And at the same time, cutting below that, a new strong pulse of energy coming in off the Pacific Ocean. That's going to come across the southern United States and then arc up into our trough here over next weekend, and that's when the next batch of big trouble comes for us. Big trouble trying to predict what's going to happen, and perhaps big trouble in the rain and wind department, and maybe snow department next weekend. That's a tough one. All right, now I'll go to the surface maps. There is our low to the north of New England. I have to use this real wide view because otherwise I just can't capture it. And then it strengthens to its maximum strength about 982 or so, moving towards Lake Superior, between Lake Superior and James Bay, Canada. That's the southern part of Hudson Bay. And then it starts to weaken and move back to the east. Meanwhile, pulses of energy, maybe some showers here around Tuesday. Looks like a beautiful Wednesday. Ouch. And then watch the lows. This has been a moving target now. Of course, it still will be until we get there for next weekend. First, it was a series of low-pressure systems going along the south coast. Now it looks like one low really escapes, and Friday doesn't look that bad. And then another one forms and actually moves towards the southeast. That's what happened in a blocking pattern, and it's a sub-995 low, and that would be a powerful nor'easter look and feel, but further south than the guidance had at the last 2 days. Again, the guidance is going to go up north and then down south and keep on changing until that gets here, but it's going to be very interesting. Does look like a beautiful Wednesday, and it does look like we're going to have some kind of weather around here next Saturday. And I was going to try and make this like a easy, short, and sweet one, but it's just nothing easy or short or sweet about it. Oh, I love when the birds land on the top of the flagpole. Again, I zoom out, the audio changes, and then I unzoom and it comes back. Should I make a run for the rain gauge? T-Rex wants to go in. All right. Yeah, I fired him yesterday, but like George Costanza, he goes back to work pretending like nothing happened. He can't wait to go up and have some breakfast. And let's go out and say hello to Steve. We'll challenge the wind. There goes the bird off the pole. Hey, Steve, how's it going? He had a rough night. The wind was really whistling, and it made a lot of noises, and Steve has had a long night. I had a long night, too. All right, love the colors. The blue sky, the water reflects the blue off the sky. And let's go check the rain gauge. All right, 0.14. So all that worry all last week for 0.14 inches of rain, and there was no wind yesterday. Oh, I took some worms out of the worm farm yesterday and I delivered them. I went to a housewarming in Plymouth. Danny and Signe, it was so fun. And a lot of friends from Cape Cod were there. Danny, Stoughton-centric with a mix of Dennis and Nantucket people. That was really fun. I stopped and saw Ron and Cindy Simon and picked up some Montauk daisies for Danny and Signe, and we put them in. I didn't mean to turn the whole thing into a yard party out in the front yard, but when I showed up with the flowers and some worms, everyone had to see what was going on. Anyhow, Danny, this is what your Montauks are going to look like in a couple of years. It doesn't take long, and you can divide them and spread them and give them to your friends. You can even take them with you when you move, which is what I did when I moved from our last house to Scituate near Ron. Ron Simon is the one that taught me how to prune them. He says prune them on July 4th. That way when they come up, they're not going to fall down, because if you don't prune them and they're way up here and they fall down, and unfortunately I pruned these ones late, but they're going to bloom. So I'm going to have flowers blooming past Halloween. I love that. And I still have some green tomatoes going. Here comes Steve to see what all the commotion's about. So that's going to be the end more. Spreading the worm and flower love and the love and joy of weather. Hope you have a great Sunday. Football starts like right now. Long day of football, and I'm going to try not to go anywhere today. I love hanging in my own yard on a Sunday. Traffic's really bad. Have you ever noticed that on Sundays? Be interesting to watch the time lapse. All right, I'm done talking. See you later. Out the car door, 22 hours later. He did it by himself. All that up there. It just hasn't rained here. Thank goodness. Except for a few minutes this morning, but he did it last night. Unreal. Not only did it solo, but took it to another level this year. Gave himself some windows. So, how was the summer overall? Did the rain bother you too much?
It's flooded out there now. It's soaking wet.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yep.
And we're still picking lots of tomatoes, still have corn.
You managed to get all those pumpkins, though, with all that?
All the pumpkins are all out of the field.
Nice job. What about a pumpkin drop? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, we haven't done it since COVID.
Okay. So we get corn.
We might do it again someday.
Yeah. Corn and tomatoes, and my favorite, the fall blooming Montauk daisies. Love these. RNC Farms, Situate.
Where's my corn?
Also some color coming on, slow but sure. What's going on there? What kind of flower is that, you know?
That's daisy.
Montauk daisy?
I think it's a Montauk daisy.
Yeah. When do they bloom?
In the spring.
Fall.
Fall. Fall. And anybody know what's inside?
Worms. We got some worms here.
We got worms.
Pretty good worms. Oh, is that a grub?
That's a slug, and then that's a grub. Grubs go into the street.
Oh,
They go into the street.
Don't put it in the lawn.
Yep.
We know it'll happen to his lawn as they multiply.
So the worms are down a little bit. They like depth.
Montauk daisies here. They come up in the
fall.
the fall. Yeah. And then you worm. And
Big
you have to prune them so that they don't get too tall and fall over.
These guys want to be in my video
This is
tomorrow.
what I'm learning from.
The worm farmer. I used to be a weatherman. Now I'm a worm farmer.
Yeah.
Was that Peter?
That's Peter.
Oh, those are beauties, aren't they?
Nice.
Let's dig some holes.
See the worms? Tim brought, this is my
That's
son
where that
Andrew.
one's going.
Hello, Andrew.
Tim. He brought some worms and a couple Montauk daisies to plant. And you know, I just love flowers.
A lot of sand here, Kim.
They must be on break. I think they had too much to eat for lunch, so.
Taking a minute.
He said he fixes cars, but obviously he's got some landscaping skills too.
Are those daisies? Montauk daisies, Ronnie, and they bloom in the fall.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to prune them on the 4th of July, otherwise they get too big for their britches.
I've done a lot of digging. I used to hang out with some mafia guys. They had me digging holes. I don't know why.
Some lime?
Vinny, let's make him an offer we can't refuse.
Tim, do we need to go wider on this?
A little bit wider because we're going to stuff some worms down there.
How deep here, sir?
That's deep enough.
You came prepared, Tim.
I grew these too.
Really?
I grow worms. The wood is extra. That was from Roger Kent's garden.
Do you collect molds and fungi too?
Mold spores and what's that?
All right, so you want to?
Egon.
I want to put some of this in
Oh,
there.
why did I skip?
I think that's fine.
No, wait. Next step is to pull that thing out of the pot and crush up the pot a little bit. Crunch it up because you want those roots. The roots. Yeah. Now give that thing a massage.
Come on.
You got to give that thing a massage
Got those open.
like this.
It's like aerate it.
Yeah.
Rip them open.
Usually we wear gloves for this job.
But you didn't bring any.
I did, but you guys like rushing the
right.
whole.
We're men here. We can use our hands. We
Not
got it.
afraid to get our hands dirty.
What's the next step, sir?
Drop that. Drop it.
Gently.
Nope, just drop it. It fits.
That
Now
deep?
pull it back out again.
That too deep?
Sounds like a fun time.
3 or 4 inches of soil.
So Rob, you grow worms, don't you?
I got a lot of worms.
Plenty of worms. Your garden, I've seen it. It's beautiful.
Worms between my toes.
You should see his lawnmower. It's like no touch lawnmower.
I only grow one.
Have you guys ever seen his lawnmower? It's satellite operated. It's got GPS and all this stuff. I'm not kidding you. I'll put that in the video tomorrow morning too, because I made a video of it. I was up there one day, and there was this unattended lawnmower with no handles, just going in circles out in the yard. It's
Doesn't
true.
go in circles. It actually goes in straight lines.
Actually, he's right.
They call that a vacuum cleaner, don't they?
It's like a Roomba.
There you go.
I was over by his house one day.
It's
He's
a
up.
Luba. Lubo.
He's on like this 45-foot ladder up next to his gable, like the longest ladder that I've ever seen. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm adjusting the satellite dish for my mower." This is a true story. This is a true story.